we'll go ahead and get started. Call the meeting to order and Chapel King Grubs. Greg filled in for you last month. He did an outstanding job.
Yeah.
But, glad to have you back. That was not a slam on you, Greg. It wasn't. I promise.
Greg is a good partner.
Yes.
Let's take a moment. Hear our prayers, O Lord, sometimes with words, sometimes with silence, and sometimes with a sigh too deep for words we pray. Sometimes, though, we just begin by saying thank you to you, naming the gifts of our living, counting our blessings one by one. Even now, we could do that with one another. And I bet we'd come away astounded, humbled, and lifted up by simply saying thank you as we embrace the golden threads of your grace that are woven into our relationships of care and work. So hear our prayer with words, with silence, with a sigh. Hear our care and grief for the loss of Alan Lewis, physician and friend to Erlanger for so much of his life. Hold his family in love as you do us. Hear our grief for the broken violence in our world and our prayers for your transforming peace to be at work in those who lead and in ourselves. And let us know tonight that your tender mercies sustain us and your care breaks open upon us all, just like the sunrise, giving care and sufficient for all our needs. In grace we pray, always giving thanks. Amen.
Thank you. You received your agenda this week, and to my knowledge, there are no changes to the agenda. I'd like to recognize a few guests this evening. First of all, my wife is back there, Lisa, and my friend Richard Cromanona back there. And I think, is it Jackson, Dr. Miller, that we have with us tonight? Your grandson? Well, welcome. And we have a new trustee this evening, Phil Smart, joined the board, I guess, a week or so ago. And we have succeeded in getting back on track with orientation. Mr. Smart has already gone through the complete orientation, which it's taken most of us months, if not longer than that, to do. So congratulations to Kitty and to Trustee Smart for getting that done. But brings a wealth of, I read your some of your credentials from the board you served on, the Board of Education, the Wastewater Treatment Board, and Moccasin Bend. So look forward to having your talents here on the board with us.
Thank you, Don.
We will have, we have a special presentation tonight. Dr. Miller. And you're going to bring Jackson with you. Good.
He's an Indian.
I'd like to say first, I thought about what I could say about you, but the only thing I could think of, or the main thing, would be we couldn't have done it without you. You were very instrumental in what we have at Erlanger today. You chaired the search committee for Mr. Spiegel, and like I said, we could not have made the changes without you. You were a rock, you were an anchor for all the trustees at that time, and you were just so instrumental in the turnaround we put these here. So words cannot express our appreciation to you. But we'll try anyway with a little, for the color. I know you can't tell what it is, but there you go.
Well, Dr. Miller, I just wanted to personally thank you for your guidance, your leadership. As a physician serving on the board, your expertise and your focus on patient care, your expertise with the medical staff and the credentialing every single month with joint conference, with quality, really took the hospital to the next level. And I want to tell you on behalf of all the administration and all the physicians, we thank you for your service. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I was also trying to think like saying that y'all would be better off, but I've served for 5 years, so in case you don't know, since I served a year of an unexpired term, I'm not eligible for another term. It's like I interpret the bylaws, so that's why I'm leaving now. But it's been an incredible 5 years. I mean, we've taken some bullets, all of us have, but what has really made it a meaningful experience is the camaraderie of all of us. And I feel so good about where the hospital is with this leadership team, which is just incredible. And as everybody knows, we're in the best spot we've been in a very long time. And my friends a lot of times ask me, why do you do these things that just take a lot of your time for no compensation, blah, blah, blah. And I says, but one of the side benefits is all the incredible people you get to meet and know that you wouldn't meet otherwise. And I cherish the friendship of each one of you here, so thank you very much. And in case you might have read otherwise, this is really my little man right here. Every Thursday evening, we're going to have a pizza date.
All right.
And if you've got just a minute, we will see. You could not have done it without you. You will be missed. Thank you very much.
Kitty and I checked them, so we made sure they were right. I will help you.
Please.
It says, Dr. Phyllis E. Miller, MD, Board Member 2010-2015, Erlanger Health System, with admiration and gratitude for your commitment to the improvement of the healthcare status of our community.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. And I'll not go away. I won't be on the board, but I'll be behind the scenes calling everybody. Thank you very much.
Yes.
See you.
Yep.
All right, and now we will have our quality and safety presentation. Dr. Kofi.
Well, thank you, Mr. Hutchinson. You realize there's no way I can follow that. But I would just add to the remarks made by the two of you that I've known Phyllis for 30 years, 25, 30 years. And she's a very respected physician, too. Very respected physician and educator of residents and a role model. You know, she's the sort of person that you want your doctors to be like. So thank you, Phyllis. So I guess this is my third one of these, maybe fourth, and I'm really having a hard time figuring out what I'm supposed to say. You know, because I don't want to say the same thing over and over again. And one of the very frequent questions that gets asked to me is, what do you do? My dad says, Bo, what do you do? And people see me and say, what do you do? And I try to explain it. It's never very satisfactory. So I thought today I would start out with a day in the life of a chief quality officer and just show you what I did today. This is an example of a typical day. So from 7 to 9, I was in the Medical Officers Council meeting. This, for those of you who don't know, happens every Thursday at 7 o'clock. It's the Chief of Staff, Lee Kern, Vice Chief of Staff, Jay Sizemore, Secretary of the Medical Staff, Jim Bolton. He wasn't there today. the chief medical officer, who is, we don't have one. UTHSC Chattanooga representative, the dean, who is currently, Chuck Campbell serving in that role as associate dean. Myself, there's a representative from administration, Greg Gentry, and Pat Eller. And we meet for an hour and a half to 2 hours to talk about multiple issues. Policies that are coming down the line, individual physicians and things they've done. We talk about regulations. Pretty much everything that happens around here at a high level sort of starts out in that committee. We talk about quality. At 9:30, I went to a meeting that was today in this room with essentially all the nursing leaders in the hospital. Dr. Blake and myself were there together. Dr. Blake and I are together a lot. Ms. Appling was there, and Heather Svitas was there, talking from legal and diversity, talking about the fact that we've got to be very careful in dealing with non-English speaking people that come through here in the ER on the floor, that they explain some of the remarkable language resources we have to translate verbally, translate written things, and trying to make sure all the nurses knew they were there and how to access them, how to get a hold of them at night, how to get a hold of them on a Saturday, and start to use those. I went from there to root cause analysis for the Board of Trustees. CAUTI is a catheter-associated UTI. Every time we have one catheter-associated UTI in this hospital or one central line infection, there's a root cause analysis of that. It involves Dr. Blake and myself. It involves nursing leadership. It involves the leadership of the unit where it occurred, the nurses involved. They go through the charts. We meet there in the unit. We have an in-depth discussion about why it happened, what went wrong, what could have gone better, and we actually sometimes brainstorm some new ways to deal with this going forward. So this is an example of the team getting together and talking about this one occurrence and how can we fix this going forward. And we've come out with some pretty neat ideas. Some things come out of this that then get translated into practice. When I was a kid growing up, we never did this. We had a urinary tract infection. Who cares about that? But that's not the way it is now. At 11 o'clock, I went to a meeting with Dr. Blake and Mike Bettinger, Larkin, a data abstractor, and we met to discuss some new CMS-directed guidelines that are coming down about how we treat sepsis. And we have a sepsis score measure sheet that's been developed here to define it, how you diagnose it, and then a sheet of how to treat that. These are important. We're going to be measured by the government as to how well we perform on these measures in the oncoming months. So we talked about how are we going to implement this? How are we going to educate this? We came up with a group of people who want to sit down and have a discussion talk about how to roll this out into the residencies, medicine, surgery, roll this out into the ER, improve the way we're doing it to deal with these up front. At 12, I got to go to North Wing 8. They had lunch ready. It was great. So North Wing 8 is the floor unit that I personally I took on 3 months ago trying to improve HCAHPS, and they have improved their patient satisfaction scores for the question overall quality of care from basically red to blue. And so they're meeting their stretch goals in this unit in 3 months. And basically they're doing it. I mean, we came up with some ideas, gave them some tools. We met with all the members that could get to the lunch. There were patient care techs there. We had SEDEC, the people out doing the floors. We brought them in there, congratulated them. They were very appreciative of that. I asked them for a list of some things we could do to make better and left with a list, and I sent that to you, Jan. Basically, it's a constant process, engagement. Get out there, meet the people, talk to them, pat them on the back. What do you need? And just keep doing that. At 12:30, I got back to my office and started to work on this because the first part of this week I've been in Philadelphia giving the surgery boards and terrorizing young surgeons. And for some reason I thought this meeting wasn't here. Well, it got moved to here because of Thanksgiving. Well, it wasn't on my calendar, so I didn't have this ready when I left town. I would normally have had this ready, but I had to get this done. So I worked on this, made some phone calls, worked on some mail. Then at 1 to 1:30, Kevin Hawley called me from Sean Delaney. We went over what I had done, how I've been implemented the things, what to do going forward. We talked about this was the interview scheduled for the Sean Delaney meeting. She asked me when am I meeting with my power buddy, and Steve Johnson and I are meeting tomorrow. At 1:30, I had a meeting set up with a physician here who had approached me and wanted to talk to me about some issues that physician felt they had within their section. What could we do to improve quality there? So we just had a closed door, one-to-one talk about things we could try to work on. Finished the PowerPoint then. At 2:30, I was talking with a guy named Chris Dandry that set up, Jan Keys asked me to talk to him about how to drive recognition into what our employees do, give our employees recognition and make them function better. So we talked on the phone for a while. Then Jan and Floyd and I made rounds in the hospital and went to several places. Dr. Keys and I have been trying to do this. We started out scheduling it every hour, 1 hour a day, every day. Well, her schedule's pretty busy and mine is, and we've been actually achieving this somewhere between 2 and 4 days a week. And Floyd wanted to come with us, and he came with us, and I think he learned some things. And we went around and saw some units and talked to some nurses. Then I went across the street. We had a meeting in Anthelio to discuss some concerns the nurses had about a new telemetry system we're getting here, and some pros and cons. And quite frankly, I found that that system, I think, is probably a lot better than what we got now. Got my concerns answered, and more importantly, I think we answered some of the questions the nurses had about what it could have, and what it could do, and how we can implement it safely. And then here I am. So that's my day. And I just wanted to give that to y'all to give you some idea of what I actually do each day, because you wouldn't really know, and I didn't know myself 3 months ago. So here we go. Any questions?
One question. The North Wing 8, right? That's the one you've kind of.
The best nursing unit in the hospital, right. Dr. Keys.
So obviously that's a bit of an experiment to see what really hands-on would look like. How do we clone you and get that at every wing? And is that what we have to do, or is there a way to replicate?
That's what he's doing.
I've been doing quality for a long time, and I guarantee you, I'm up here tooting the horn of the nurses, and the next month we may fall down. But it's gonna, and I told them that today. And what you got to do is go up, and you go down, and you go up, and you go down, and you go up, and you go down. And basically, my thoughts are, I've had a number of residents approach me about getting involved in the quality department. I've thought about making a resident champion of a surgery floor, and maybe make a medicine resident a champion of a medicine floor. But what's happening, just by virtue of this, other nurses hear about this. And now North Wing 9 is doing in-room patient rounding, and their scores are up in the blue. And so other nurses sort of hear about this rivalry between North Wing 8 and 3000. And plus, we've given North Wing 8 some resources that other nurses are going to want to do. So I think once we have sustained this, Jack, I got 6 months of sustained performance, then it's probably time to step back and say, what have you done here? How did you do it? How do we roll it out?
Great.
Other questions?
No, just a comment for the other nursing units that are back here. We'll say that I have the 3rd floor as my project, so we're working competitively but good in nature and sharing great ideas amongst each other. And I was at East today when he got to have his celebration lunch, so I didn't get to attend that, but was over with the East staff and East Nursing today.
So this is
It's good.
plain and simple healthy competition.
Yeah, it's very good.
I mean, there's nothing to be gained here, and in the sense that to make the nurses feel proud of themselves. That's the thing we haven't had here for so long, is the nurses don't believe in themselves, because I don't think they've been given enough recognition. And you've heard me say this 100 times, and I'll say it again. It's the nurses that make the difference, right? It's good to have good doctors. It's good to have good surgeons. It's good to have good cardiologists. I'm not trivial. Neurosurgeons. I mean, we've got great nervous surgeons here. But it's the nurses that drive stuff, and we've got to recognize that. So, other questions? Thank you.
Just
Thank you,
just want to make a comment. The approach that you're taking for the RCAs in collaboration with Dr. Keys is just wonderful. That you're following up on every fallout, and you're collaborating with Dr. Keys and going up to the unit, talking to the physician, talking to nurses, and really figuring out ways in a non-punitive way that can bring about positive change. and I think that's why you're
Well,
there.
thank you for that, but I just feel honor compels me to point out that Wood started this 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And much of the improvement in the central line infections and the catheter infections was developed by nurse-driven protocols and put in place by Dr. Woods and Dr. Kern. The MEC approved these protocols. So it's a team effort. It's not just me, it's everybody, but if you go to nurses and doctors and give them the tools to make it better, they all want to make it better. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cook. You received the minutes of the October 22nd meeting in your package, and if there are no changes, I will entertain a motion for approval.
Motion.
A motion and a second? Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Thank you. Down on our committee and subcommittee reports, budget and finance, Mr. Two.
We did meet, and we have one item on the consent calendar.
Okay. Dr. Kern, joint conference, I don't think y'all met this time, did you? No. There. Planning, Tom Ed?
We did meet, but we have nothing to bring before this group.
Audit and legal, Mike?
We did not meet.
Okay. And management board evaluation, Ms. Stanley's not here, but I don't
They
think we
did not
met
meet.
this week, nor did we, personnel committee did not meet. You have one item on the consent calendar this evening, coming out of budget and finance. That it was in your package. If there's no questions on that, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
And a second? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Moving on down the agenda, Dr. Kern, Chief of Staff report. No report, okay. And the Dean report. There you go.
Be very brief. The accreditation system for graduate medical education changed about 2 years ago to what they call the next accreditation system. Well, we're in that now. One of the central requirements of that is for the ACGME, our accrediting body, to visit the hospital every year and a half. And what they're concerned with was how does graduate medical education integrate itself into the mission of the hospital. It used to be these accreditation folks would come and they'd look at just our residency programs and they'd talk to just the faculty and they'd be gone. Now their system is to come to the hospital and they want to start out with the CEO and end with the CEO in a 2-day intensive visit. There's a team that comes along and they interview most all of our residents, most all of our faculty, and a large number of nurses. They walk around the floors, they ask people questions about patient safety and quality improvement. How does medical education help further the mission of the hospital? Well, they came in April of 2014, and so we're due for another visit. This would be our second visit. We also have a concern with our OB residency program, and we're preparing for a site visit about just OB. And we got notification a few days ago about the accreditation site visit for OB, and that's been scheduled for December the 15th. And I thought to myself when I heard that, you know, these people who are coming for this CLEAR visit, CLER, Clinical Learning Environment Review, I said, you know, I bet they're going to call us and they're going to want to come the same day. I told the GME committee that was going to happen Tuesday night, and they all kind of laughed. And I looked at my computer this morning and there was an email. Guess when they're coming?
Oh, my God.
The same day, December the 15th. Well, I quickly shot them an email back and said, you can't do that. The OB site visit alone is going to involve all of our OB residents and all of our faculty and me and who knows who else. Please don't come. Give us a pass. And they did. So we're going to have them scheduled sometime right after the first of the year. We're obligated to look at ourselves once a year and conduct an internal review. And it's a very, very lengthy document. It's several hundred pages, but I've got a very short executive summary for you that will give you the nuts and bolts and the information that you really need to understand. So let me leave this with you, and then I'm done.
Thank you.
Are there any questions before I sit down? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right, moving on. Thank you very much. We will have CEO report. Mr. Spiegel.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. As you're aware, Britt Tabor and myself, we met with the Wall Street rating agencies earlier this year. I'm pleased to inform that Erlanger was upgraded by both Fitch and Moody's. Fitch upgraded Erlanger from BBB to BBB+, and Moody's upgraded our outlook from stable to a positive outlook. And this has really been a tremendous, tremendous improvement. These upgrades came much earlier than anticipated. Both firms commented on our strategy and our ability to execute, as well as growing volume and reducing our costs. Our goal is to continue our strong performance, to achieve another upgrade, and then go back to the capital markets in 2 years. So that's our overall strategy with Wall Street, and it's just better than we anticipated. I want to give an update on Physician Services. Tom Petrolak has been hired as the Chief Operating Officer for Physician Services. He's recently retired from the U.S. Navy as a decorated naval officer and full captain. He's also going to be heading up our Office of Veterans Affairs for Erlanger. And I think that's our first step into addressing that population of the people who served our country, as well as really help us with physician offices. Also, our orthopedic service continues to grow. We just hired 4 new physicians in orthopedics: Dr. David Bruce, Dr. Jeremy Bruce, Dr. David Lowry, and Dr. Peter Lund, bringing orthopedics up to a total of 18 physicians, and we have probably about that same number of physician extenders in the orthopedic department. It's a tremendous department, and we continue to invest. As you know, we're building out an orthopedic institute, and they're very excited to be working in a state-of-the-art, patient-friendly, physician-friendly environment. We're also excited about hiring a new Chief of Pulmonary Critical Care. Dr. Setti is going to be coming from Brown University, and he starts in March. Also, Dr. Pat O'Donnell is a new neurologist who's starting in December. And we also finalized a professional services agreement with Dr. DePasquale and Dr. Boren, who will be heading up GYN Oncology Department as part of our whole cancer center. We now are close to 250 employed docs, and that's a pretty accomplishment as our physician employed services continues to grow. I wanted to also give you an update on the Southside Dotson Avenue Health Centers. We made tremendous progress with the health centers over the last 60 days. The board has been established with 9 members, 5 community members, and I just want to acknowledge our own board members who are part of that. Mr. Henry Haas, who is the new board's chairman, Gerald Webb, Rick Youngblood, and Dr. Nita Shoemaker. We have 5 community board members: Rosemarie Ginger, vice chairman; Nikita Eddy is the secretary; Carol Cox, Beverly Johnson, and Rosemary Porter. They make up of patient representatives aligned with our board members that make up the new Southside Avenue, Dotson Avenue Community Advisory Board. We are also integrating University Medical Associates, our faculty practice with UT that has 7 faculty and 30 residents. They're going to be combining with the health centers, and that will be also effective on November 23rd, thereby raising the level, opening up more physicians and practitioners to the community in both Southside Avenue and Dotson Avenue. So I'm very excited in the progress. I want to acknowledge Joe for all his work in getting that done. I also want to I mentioned it previously, but I wanted, because it's coming up close, I wanted you to be aware Dr. Will Jackson from the Inova Healthcare System is our new Chief Medical Officer and starts on November 30th, and he's looking forward to the December board meeting, and I know all the physicians are excited when he comes. We got also, Erlanger was recognized by the NAACP, received the Corporate Platinum Sponsorship of the Year. Liz Appling, Chief Diversity Officer, was appointed to the Bessie Smith Cultural Center Board of Directors. And Robbie Tester received recognition from Mayor Coppinger for the EMS and staff life flight for all their work during the Ironman competition, and that has really led for Chattanooga to be the site of the national competition for Ironman because of the intense medical support that was provided to the Ironman. So we help the community in so many ways, and Mayor Coppinger really reached out and recognized Robbie Tester for that. I want to personally congratulate you. Employee Believe campaign, Julie Taylor and the whole team is conducting employee campaign to raise awareness on regarding our children's Phase 1 of the Children's Hospital, the outpatient component. The employees are responding, and there's been an unbelievable outcry of employees to sign up and be part of this campaign in a positive way. Kitty Quinn is also, and Marissa Moyer are the co-chairs of the employee campaigns, and they're there, not every day, but they're there a lot, signing people up in the medical mall. Our goal is to have all employees participate, and I'm proud to announce that we have over 1,000 employees who have signed up and are participating because they do believe in our campaign. And I think that's really just wonderful. And I would like to formally introduce Dr. Robert Four, serving as interim dean. Dr. Four and Mr. Robert Brooks are chairman of the search committee for the new dean, and I wish them a lot of luck in making it a speedy dean search, and present those candidates will be presented to both myself and Chancellor Schwab of the University of Tennessee as soon as they have completed their search. And also congratulations to all the physicians who serve on that search committee. And on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, Judy, my wife, will be joining me in doing rounds at all of our campuses and helicopter bases and all that we reach out to serve. And anybody that wants to join me on that day are welcome.
That's pretty neat. I do like it, the fact that you and Judy and a group go around. That's very meaningful.
Mr. Hutchison, that's my report.
Very good. Thank you very much. A couple things, a couple questions. So the construction, we see all kind of sheetrock going up everywhere. Here, the building at East, are we on track?
I'm going to ask Mr. Brooks to answer that question.
Obviously, the answer is no then.
No, I didn't say that. He He actually has a poster to show you.
Oh, he does. I didn't know that. I didn't set you
But
up
there
on
is-
that. I really wanted to know.
Yeah, actually, we have about 60 construction projects underway right now to not only do small things like what you see in the hallways to take down old wallpaper and make the facility look better, but projects as big as East, which is the $50 million expansion. So as particular to East, we're on track to complete the project in December of 2016. And the first phase that will open in early 2016 will be the operating rooms and the ancillary space to support that. And so I think we're on track to open around February. Is that correct, Bruce? Sometime in February with those operating rooms. And then the bed tower, which is the tall portion, is what's going to open in 2016.
I mean, you know, this is probably one of the most difficult things, to manage 60 projects simultaneously at the same time on multiple campuses throughout. At the same time, all the medical staff and the nursing staff and ancillaries are behind the scenes also building the future of tomorrow with the IT infrastructure replacement, which is about a $100 million project for the Epic replacement. These projects are huge, and there's a million issues going on at one time, and our goal is to land that plane safely and treat patients and grow all at the same time.
Well, very good. I was expecting a no, but very good answer. October was a little soft. November is stronger.
Very strong.
Very good.
Very strong.
And then my last comment, thanks to the folks that have agreed to serve on the Health Center Committee. That is a passion of mine, and it's going to be a gift back to the community when we get those things operating at peak efficiency. So thank you all very much for agreeing to do that.
I have one question, please.
Yes.
We were also worried about ICD-10 and reimbursement and how that was going to obstruct flow. It's been a non-issue for me because the hospital staff.
I wouldn't say it's a non-issue, but it's certainly going much, much smoother than we expected. Britt could probably comment on what's really behind the scenes.
Yeah, I had to do my hats off to the doctors. They really took a proactive approach to ICD-10 because obviously it's the documentation that means a lot, and without the doctors we wouldn't have been successful. So far we've had very minimal denials or rejections. If you remember, that was the worst case scenario that we painted for the board. And we are getting remits back now with payments. And my big fear was the case mix would drop because of the severity codes and all that. And as from the October standpoint, our case mix didn't drop. So we're still continuing to water it. We do have, we're doing QA on all the documentation and coding. We do that every week just to make sure, because you can't be too careful. But I do have to say that without the doctors' participation and their willingness to learn all these new codes, remember they took a set of codes here and went dramatically 5 times as many, we wouldn't have been as successful. So, but right now, one thing that people have to keep in mind is because there was so much pushback on the October 1 day, they did make the rules a little more lenient for a year. So what they said, that if you can get the codes in the right family of codes, they're not going to deny it. So at least we've got it within this guideline, but really it needs to be in this guideline. So as we've got everyone now within these barriers, we're going to now make sure that we get it to those particular lines. So, but that's the next step. But again, we've seen so much positive wanting to learn from our doctors. I was just tickled to death. So.
But I'm still concerned about ICD implementation in a year from now, as they will come through with technical denials to both physicians and hospitals.
Any other questions? Thank you for your report. Moving on to our election of board officers. I guess I'm having trouble holding on this office because when I took it 2 years ago, I was handed the gavel at the beginning of the meeting. I don't know how we wound up at the end of the meeting, but it's that time to have our board officer elections. I asked my trustees last month and maybe the month before that if you had a nomination, give it to Mike Griffin. and he would bring those to the floor tonight. Our bylaws don't allow for any kind of structure when it comes to election of officers. It's an open event. So if anybody has a nomination from the floor, we will gladly accept that nomination. Otherwise, Mike, I will ask you to tell us who you've got for nominations.
Okay, we did, the only separate nomination that I had was for Jennifer Stanley.
Okay.
And because of her schedule, she declined.
Okay.
To go on the slate.
That's right. I did ask you if you did have a nomination to talk to the trustee first to make sure that they were willing to and able to serve. So, okay.
Right. So the slate that has been nominated, we have Jack Studer as chairman, Rick Youngblood as vice chair, and myself as secretary.
Very good. Let's take them one at a time then, if we can. For the office of chairman, we have Jack Studer has been nominated. Are there any other nominations? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Congratulations, I guess. So.
A little more positive than that.
I don't know. Then we'll go on to our vice chair. Rick Youngblood has been nominated. Any other nominations? With that, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. And Mr. Griffin, for secretary, any other nominations? Well, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations, gentlemen. And you've got on your list there the upcoming meetings. One other item, I have been talking with a few of the folks here at Erlanger's about getting ready for me to step down off the board. It's a year early, but I have been laying the groundwork for that. And with that, I do have a letter, if I can find it. Kitty left it, I think, at the office, if I'm not mistaken, but I do have one here. That means I can't resign. It's been a privilege and an honor to serve as a board member for the Erlanger Health Center. Erlanger is definitely one of the great assets of our community. However, to everything there's a season, and after much thought and consideration, now is the time for me to step down from my role as trustee of the Erlanger Health Center. I accepted the position expecting to serve 4 years, and now having served 7, it's time for me to focus more of my time on my family and profession. It's been a pleasure to work alongside some of Chattanooga's best, and as I leave, I find solace in the fact that Erlanger is in the hands of dedicated and talented trustees that are supported by the best management team I've ever encountered. The blessings I have received during my tenure have far exceeded any sacrifices I have made in order to serve as a trustee. I want to thank all the employees, physicians, and elected officials for working together on the journey of rebuilding Erlanger to be one of the top academic medical centers in the country. My wish for Erlanger is that everyone continue to focus on our mission of improving the health status of our great community. Donnie Hutcherson. So it's, like I said, it's not easy. I leave with only fond memories. And if it weren't for just the need to spend more time with family and my job, I wouldn't. The folks here, I don't know what Jeff's going to do in the mornings without me. Everybody's got their time slot.
Yeah.
Jeff is from 7 to 8 in the morning. If my phone rings at 7 o'clock at night, my wife, she doesn't even have to say. She says, Greg's on the phone. That's Greg's time slot. Brett used to, whenever I'd be waiting, because I used to chair budget and finance. Every month, about the 8th of the month, I would be sending Brett a text. Are we closed yet? Are we closed? How do we do for the month? So I'm going to miss all you guys and girls. But there is one special person. Kitty, can you come forward, please?
That's sweet.
Kitty.
Go on.
I know you don't like.
You just want to make her cry. That's what you're going to do.
If there's one person that has covered all my mistakes, and been there to, I love it, she takes those glasses off when I make a mistake, or she'll take them off and look at me, and she'll say, you know, she'll take care of everything. And she has really been she's an unsung hero. She really is, behind the scenes, and so. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I guess I will turn the gavel over to Jack. You know, I said I'm stepping down, but really, I have a 7:30 meeting in the morning with a bunch of Erlanger folks. So I don't know, it will end. But with that, we are adjourned. Good meeting.